한국 바로 알리기에
함께 해주세요.
안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to a brand new week on the Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-ah in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-history, K-musicals, K-everything. And we'll do all of that together with our Monday co-host, Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa, and happy Monday, everyone. It's great to see you again after a long weekend. Well, a long weekend for me. I'm here to give you your daily dose of K-Enter news, so stick around for that. Actually, it's not too long away.
Right, and we do have a variety of K-Enter news today. It's about K-pop stars, but also overseas pop stars today.
Yes, that's actually right. Also, original Korean musicals that have been around for decades as well.
And speaking of decades, we even go further back in history to talk about an incident on Jeju Island. So we have a very fully packed program today.
We do.
But we're going to start off with you, Walter.
Great.
And that is, of course, K-Enter News. So on K-Enter News, we usually talk about Korean entertainers.
That's true.
But today, we're actually going to talk about entertainers from abroad or a band, Coldplay. We're talking about British band Coldplay. And they have held a number of concerts here in Korea. And on Saturday, they were also joined by a special guest.
Yes, that's right. We usually talk about our K-pop bands, but this is not straying too far away. Yes, Coldplay have made their return to Korea after 8 years with their concert, their tour, Music of the Sphere World Tour that blew the doors off the Goyang Stadium. Now, K-pop girl group Twice warmed up the crowd by opening all 3 nights before Coldplay graced the stage. And if you were one of the lucky ones who were there on the Saturday night performance, you were in for a little treat because BTS's Jin made a special appearance. Now, why Jin, of course? Jin and Coldplay's lead singer Chris Martin have a special bond. They have been collaborating together for a little bit. In the past, they were working on songs such as Jin's solo song, Astronaut, and also the collaborative song, which you can actually hear in the background, BTS's My Universe, which were both performed on Saturday evening. So their relationship, both Chris Martin as well as Jin, has been grown over the years. In October 2022, just before Jin's military enlistment, he actually traveled all the way to the other side of the world in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to join Coldplay on stage to perform Astronaut with the band.
Well, I can imagine how people went crazy when Jin came out on the stage.
I imagine.
And as there are still a couple of concerts remaining,
Yes.
Let's look forward to those as well, and also which special guests will appear there as well.
Yes.
Now, next up, we, meaning you and I, Walter, are very excited about this particular news because it is related to something that's coming up tomorrow as well.
Yes, we have very, very, very big news. Now, Big Ocean, the world's first deaf K-pop idol group, released their second mini album titled Underwater. Now, this was on Sunday, marking both their first-year anniversary as a group and also Korea's Day of People with Disabilities. Now, the album is Big Ocean's story of realizing they are like mermaids, awakening their instincts and embracing their identity as well. Now, the album includes four track songs, and the title track is called Attention. There's also Fade Out, and End of Time, and member PJ's solo track, Sinking. I will talk about PJ in just a moment, but meanwhile, Big Ocean kicked off their first European tour on Saturday in Lausanne, Switzerland. Following that, they will perform in a total of 5 cities, including Milan on the 23rd and London on the 24th. And for that exciting news that I mentioned to you, Soa, or you mentioned, we have an interview with Big Ocean member PJ tomorrow on the show. So do not miss out on that.
Well, we should never miss out on any of the Culture Wave episodes, but especially not tomorrow with that special interview. Well, Walter, we have one more story today. It's about a K-animation movie.
It is indeed. Now, according to the Korean Film Council's integrated ticket sales network, the film Exorcism Chronicles: The Beginning, which was released on February 24th, I believe I also covered this, surpassed a cumulative audience of 500,000 as of Saturday. Now, ranking second in the 2025 animated box office overall. Now, despite strong competition since its release, the animation has consistently drawn audiences, and though 500,000 might not seem a lot when you talk about ticket sales, it's actually quite a large number considering the success of Korean animation targeted at audiences. Now, the film is an occult blockbuster that depicts the beginning of an epic tale in which exorcists with special powers confront evil. It is based on the novel Exorcism Chronicles by author Yoo Hyuk, a legendary name in the Korean fantasy literature.
Right, I believe many of the fans of the original novel probably have contributed to those numbers of ticket sales. Well, thank you very much, Walter, for this news, and stick around.
I will do.
And now let's take a look at what our AI news presenter Ari has for us today. Ari, take it away.
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. The ancestral tablets of Joseon kings and queens have returned to Jongmyo after 5 years. Established by the first king of the Joseon dynasty, King Taejo, Jongmyo is an ancestral shrine dedicated to memorial rites of Joseon, located in central Seoul. The tablets were temporarily moved to Changdeokgung Palace in 2020 after damage to parts of Jongmyo prompted major repairs. To mark their return, a traditional reenactment procession was held on Sunday along the 3.5-kilometer route from Changdeokgung to Jongmyo, with over 1,000 participants. The procession was followed by Goyuje, a ritual declaring the tablet's return. A special media facade illuminated Jongmyo at night, along with various celebratory performances. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the Jongmyo Shrine's designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Seoul will launch the spring edition of the Hangang River Night Tour this week, offering a guided evening stroll along the river that winds through the heart of the capital. Led by expert storytellers, Participants can immerse themselves in scenic views of starlight, moonlight, and city lights by the river at Pampo and Yeouido Hangang parks. The program also includes hands-on crafting workshops. It runs every Friday and Saturday evening through June 14th. Participation is lottery-based, and sign-ups are available at visit-hangang.seoul.kr. Incheon International Airport ranked 3rd globally in international passenger traffic last year, handling over 70.6 million travelers. That's according to Airports Council International's latest report. Dubai took the top spot, followed by London's Heathrow. Incheon Airport attributed the surge to expanded infrastructure and increased travel during Korea's major holidays. Passenger numbers are projected to exceed 76 million this year. The airport also ranked 3rd worldwide in international cargo volume, processing 2.9 million tons, up more than 7% from 2023. That's all from me. Keep it tuned to the Culture Wave.
Earlier this month, Koreans commemorated the anniversary of an uprising on South Korea's Jeju Island back in 1948. Days after, we learned that the archives of the Jeju April 3rd incident were officially added to UNESCO's Memory of the World Register in remembrance of the victims of state violence. Our news features reporter An Sung-jin went down to Jeju to take a closer look at the historical artifacts.
The search for answers still continues, nearly 80 years after the Jeju April 3rd incident. Mr. Yang's grandfather was one of the missing from the incident. Only around 10 years ago did he find out his grandfather had died in prison.
I still get emotional every time I talk about it. But the older I get, the more I understand the hardships of what my grandpa went through. I work on understanding the pain of those who have passed away.
Mr. Yang works for the Association of Victims' Families from the Jeju 4-3 incident. There are some 4,000 tombstones of the missing victims that the families still mourn. The Jeju 4-3 incident traces back to an uprising on the island in the late 1940s, at a time when South Korea was still working on forming its own government. Following discontent over the election process and economic hardships, the Workers' Party of South Korea launched an armed uprising, which the government violently suppressed. Many were killed by the government forces, and others allegedly involved in the uprising were sent to prison and tortured. Many, like Mr. Yang's grandfather, died in prison.
The reason this stone can't be placed is because this still doesn't have a name to it. Some call it a massacre. Some say it's a revolt, but there has been no name given to it.
Around 30,000 people are thought to have died. More than 30% of them were elderly, children, or women who were not affiliated with any of the combatants. Those who know the past and the stories behind it work on raising awareness so more people can recognize the value and the significance of what happened here. The Jeju April 3rd incident became the background for Nobel Prize Literature winner Han Gang's book, We Do Not Part, discussing humanity and the survivors of the incident.
I read testimonies from massacre survivors, pored over materials, and then, in as restrained a manner as I could, without looking away from the brutal details that felt almost impossible to put into words, I wrote what became We Do Not Part.
To make sure the incident and the victims are not forgotten, the Jeju 4-3 archives have been designated as a UNESCO Memory of the World. The documents in the archives illustrated the underlying human stories of Jeju. Time passes, but what remains important is that people continue to remember. An Sung-jin, Arirang News, Jeju.
우리는 느리게 걷자 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 우리는 느리게 걷자 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 그렇게 빨리 가다가는 죽을 만큼 뛰다가는 3분이 지나가는 예쁜 고양이 한 마리도 못 보고 지나치겠네 우리는 느리게 걷자 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 우리는 느리게 걷자 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 점심 값으로 하루를 시작하고 양말을 빨아 잘 널어놓고 햇빛 창가에서 차를 마셔보자. 우리는 느리게 걷자 걷자 걷자. 우리는 느리게 걷자 걷자 걷자. 그렇게 빨리 가다가는 죽을 만큼 뛰다가는 3분 지나가는 예쁜 고양이 한 마리도 못 보고 지나치겠네. 우리는 느리게 걷자 걷자 걷자. 우리는 느리게 걷자 걷자 걷자. 채찍을 듯 도깨비 같은 시뻘건 아저씨.
Old but gold. This year, a number of Koreans' favorite long-running original K-musicals are being welcomed back onto the stage. What does it take for musicals like The Last Empress and Love in the Rain to receive decades of love from the audience? We'll answer that question and more with culture critic Professor Ji Hae-won at Kyunghee University. Welcome, Professor Ji.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So first off, Professor Ji, please introduce us to the long-running Korean musicals that have become big again these days.
Right. Recently, the musical 베르테르 successfully completed its 25th anniversary performance starring 엄기준, 양효섭, and 전미도. This show is actually a Korean original musical created in 2000 and is one of those shows that has truly secured the fan base, especially from among the younger generation. And moreover, the musical The Last Empress, 명성황후, is playing its 30th anniversary performance, and another musical, Love in the Rain, 사랑은 비를 타고, is also about to celebrate its 30th anniversary later this month. So considering that there are not many musical theaters in South Korea that have a long lifespan, so shows like this that have been loved for more than 20 or 30 years, that can be said to be the special achievement in that they lead and expand the theater market in South Korea.
So mentioned in her introduction, The Last Empress. So let's talk a little bit more about that, which is, a pioneer when it comes to original theatre productions here in Korea. What makes it so special and why has it stood the test of time, do you think?
The Last Empress tells the story about the Empress Myeongsong, the wife of King Gojong, the 26th king of Joseon Dynasty. So it premiered in 1995, commemorate the 100-year anniversary of her assassination. So it is based on the famous novelist Lee Mun-yeol's play Fox Hunting, 여우 사냥, and composer Kim Hee-gap and lyricist Yang In-ja collaborated to present more than 50 songs. So The Last Empress was such a masterpiece to be produced as a large-scale work in the 1990s. So when the original musical are almost none in that period. So and to performed in it overseas as well. So in 2007, it was the first Korean original musical to surpass 1 million cumulative audiences, and in 2009, it achieved 1,000 performances. So, and during its 30-year anniversary performance, it has set a new milestone in Korean performance history by surpassing 2 million cumulative audiences. It is amazing.
Right. We did talk about that milestone on our program as well because it is such a big achievement. And I think 명성황후 or The Last Empress is really a perfect example of showing art out into the global audience, which involves Korea's past and also historic elements.
Right.
And now let's let's move on to the musical Love in the Rain. This one is known to be a so-called star incubator because so many members of the cast, it was kind of a career doorway for many of them. So who are some of the mentionable actors and also the recent actors in the latest production?
Right, that's right. The Love in the Rain, 사랑은 비를 타고, is a show that humorously depicts the process of resolving family conflict performed by only 3 actors. So it's a relatively small show. So it is a work that conveys a pleasant but deep emotions, and because it is compact in its size, the production cost burden is relatively small. So it is one of the reasons that the producers, they sustained the show for a long time. So the original cast members of the show include the legendary musical actors Nam Kyung-up, Nam Kyung-ju, they are actually brothers, and Choi Jung-won, and other stars like Gi-jun, Park Gon-young, Oh Man-seok, Shin Sung-rok, and Kim Moo-yeol have played the roles in the show as well. So the upcoming performance, the new cast members like Kim Young-mook, Song Yong-jin, Danny An from G.O.D, Hui from Pentagon will join the show.
A very variety of stars we're seeing in this one this time.
And it's not just success here in Korea, it's also across the globe as well. So how is it being received overseas as well as not just from the audience but from critics as well?
Right. The Last Empress actually has been recognized for their artistic quality not only in South Korea but also the many global stages such as New York, London, and LA and Toronto as well. So as a Korean original musical, it is such a great achievement to have performed overseas since the 1990s. So it also received favorable reviews from the overseas critics and audiences as well, especially because it deals with the heartbreaking historical facts and figures from South Korea. And in the case of Love in the Rain, it was the first Korean original musical to export the overseas licenses. So the famous Japanese theater company Toho performed the licensed production of the Love in the Rain in 2008, and it has been performed continuously in Japan. So it is amazing.
Fascinating. Now, Professor Ji, these musical productions probably also underwent some changes throughout the decades. So what changes are they? And also, how have each of the musicals grown into what they are today?
Actually, they has no major changes in their book or music, but The Last Empress has made changes to the stage since its premiere in 1995, because such as they activate and utilize a lot of the projection images because of the technology has been improved. And the first title of the Werther was The Sorrows of a Young Werther, 젊은 베르테르의 슬픔, the same title of the novel. But after CJ E&M joined the show as a producer in 2010, the new title has been used since 2013. So, and the scale of the show was expanded.
I see.
And what impact have these long-running original musicals had on, let's say, the Korean performance culture? And what do you think they have contributed to the popularization here in, let's say, the musical theatre?
Although the Korean musical theater industry had began to grow in earnest after 2000s, but the 1990s were a very important period in laying the foundation, cornerstones for the Korean theater market. So it is true that the Korean musical theater is even more dependent on the licensed production of foreign works, but than on original works. From that perspective, these musicals like The Last Empress, The Love in the Rain, and Werther, which have been consistently loved for more than 20 to 30 years, must be the symbol or a pride of the Korean theater market. So these shows contributed greatly for fostering the solid fandom of the musical fandom in the Korean theater market as well.
Do you think these musicals could then even become 100-year musicals? Do you think it will continue this way, just like in Europe or the US, where we have a very long history of musicals.
Right.
And that actually brings us to our final question, Professor G. The history of musicals goes really back a long way in Europe and the US, of course. There's a much bigger presence of long-running musicals. So how could South Korea kind of go behind, follow suit? In which ways do you think?
Right. Actually, it is difficult to simply compare the Korean theater industry with the markets in Broadway in New York or West End in London, because they are much larger market than Korea, and their main audiences are the tourists. But however, unlike movies, the success of the performance depends on its longevity. So it is important for the Korean musicals to secure universal themes and emotions and the power of storytelling in order to be performed for a long time in the global markets. So personally, I believe too much trendy materials or topics are less likely to sustain for a long time. So the key is to find out the story that can be performed over and over again, regardless of time and place.
So it's the classics, you would
Right.
say. All right, thank you very much, Professor G, for your insights, and have a great start to the new week.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to see you back here, right here tomorrow.
Yes, I'll be here tomorrow.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Please join us again tomorrow on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Korea time, and maybe one day here in Korea.